I'm Iris Ruth Pastor, and I'm here today with a writer, reporter, author, and mom, Lenore Skenazy, for a little small talk. But first, I have a story to tell you. In April 2008, a mother left her 9-year-old at Bloomingdale's in Manhattan, armed with a subway map, a Metro card, a $20 bill, and some quarters in case he had to make a call. He had no cell phone because his mom was afraid he would lose it. But she was trusting him to figure out how to take a subway and a crosstown bus and make it home. And guess what happened? He made it home safely, without incident, without being abducted or terrorized, and he was ecstatic with the sense of his own independence. But a strange thing happened. Half the people that this mother told her story to wanted to turn her in for child abuse, calling her America's worst mom. The other half hailed her as a national hero. Lenore, welcome to Small Talk. You're the mom, and this is your story. How did you feel when you garnered so much national attention and you even landed on Oprah? And what did you say to rebut this?
You know what? I landed on everyone but Oprah. I was on the Today Show, Dr. Phil, NPR, and BBC, CBC, you name it.
Okay.
I felt at first just completely shocked because I'm a columnist and I write columns all the time, and I didn't even write about the incident with my son on the subway for about a month after it happened because it didn't strike me as that big a deal. And then when I finally did write this little column, the fact that it took the nation and then sort of the world by storm, I was, almost baffled. And then I felt very terrible because people were saying that I didn't care about my son, which is not true.
So do you feel that the media just plays up this abduction, these abduction stories, and anytime anything happens around the world, we hear about it because they want us to kind of be glued to the TV, and that this is part of that hysteria?
I do believe that we are gripped by a predator fear right now that is sort of a disconnect with how dangerous the times really are. I would never say that, the world is 100% safe, but crime is down from when I was a kid. Any child who was out in the 70s, 80s, crime is actually lower now, according to the FBI statistics, than then. And yet our parents felt very confident sending us outside, and we feel very scared. And I think the reason is the media. I think that we have been walloped with a lot more coverage on a lot more different media, from cable to the internet, about the worst possible case scenarios.
I think one of the points that I heard you make was that we all agree that you really can't protect yourself against random violence. And so many of us in our generation, yours and mine, grew up playing outside and grew up eating cookie dough that was raw and non-organic snacks as you go into, and we didn't have a bodyguard on the playground.
No, we did not.
I think that whole everything is dangerous outlook wasn't as pervasive. So if the world isn't any different now, what accounts for that feeling besides the media? What is driving parents to be so overprotective?
I think there's a couple things. One, as we said, is the media. Two is we have a different idea of risk now. When our parents were raising us, they understood there was some risk in the world. But now you're not supposed to take even a 0.0001% risk. If you do, you're considered a bad parent. For instance, there was a huge recall recently of 1.6 million Tyco Toys workshops. And the reason was that a child had almost choked on one of the nails being plastic things that were about, let's see, how can I fit myself on here? That are about 3.5 inches tall and an inch and a half wide. So you're talking about something the size of a salt shaker. And they were all recalled, 1.6 million of them. This is a toy that had been sold since the 90s. So if you're saying that a toy that hasn't killed anybody in 15 years, 1.6 million of them, is not safe enough to keep on the market, we've gotten to the point where nothing is safe enough. The other day, just to prove my point, I bought a pack of these things called table toppers. They are little plastic, little disposable placemats that you can bring with you when you're taking your kid out for a meal.
Right.
And it said it's good, it protects your child against the dirt and germs that could be on a surface and against the cleaning chemicals. So I'm thinking so there's no such thing as safety because your kid is unsafe if it's dirty, and unsafe if it's clean. We're getting all these messages all the time. Nothing is safe. Nothing is safe enough.
Well, I think also one of the points that you brought up that really hit home, especially with my generation who are now becoming grandparents and walking, kind of an easy line with how overprotective.
Never easy.
Right,
Right.
it will be. You talked about what happens when you make a child think that he can't do anything. He eventually can't do anything. So could you address that?
Well, I know that when most of us think back on our childhood, when you think of something that made you really proud and sort of defined who you are, it's a time that your parents proved that they believed in you. It's the time they either let you walk to school, they let you babysit, they let you stay home alone, they let you go to that dance, or you were at camp and your parents weren't watching you every second of the day via videos and pictures. What children need is a chance to become who they are, to find their own interests, and to succeed at something without you doing it for them. I mean, we're sort of outsourcing their childhood to us. It's like, here, let me do that for you. I'll sign you up, even up to college. I'll sign you up for those classes. Oh, he gave you a B. I'm going to call that professor. A child never has a sense of self-confidence or who they are or that they can take on the world if the parent thinks that they are so needy that I better do that for you. Hon, you can't do it. I love you so much, I'm going to do it for you. It's like, I love you so much, I'm going to treat you like a kitten.
Lenore, you also wrote a book that I just wanted to let people know about. It's called Free Range Kids, Giving Our Children the Freedom We Had Without Going Nuts with Worry. And I understand that it's a very potent corrective for irrational fears that drive so many of us crazy these days. And
Oh, sorry, go on, what?
You also mentioned that you do a blog, and I'd like you to tell us about that.
Oh, I do a couple blogs. I blog for myself at freerangekids.com, not a surprise. And I'm also blogging now at Parent Dish, a big parenting site run by AOL, and there I am, Free Range Lenore.
Okay, thank you for that. And before we finish up our chat, I just wanted to digress for a moment because you wrote a very interesting article in the foreword. And it's a little bit of a lighter subject, but you talked about how after you see a movie, so many Jewish people will watch the credits as they roll and look for, whether they're conscious of it or not, look for the Jewish names. And I do this all the time, and I thought I was the only one. So why do we do this? What does it say about us as a people, and is it a good thing?
Well, I'm not quite sure why we do it, although it does seem to be in our DNA. I know that I used to roll my eyes. My mom, the credits would roll, and my eyes were rolling at the same time because my mom was saying, see, Spielberg, he's a Jew. No kidding. And now Anne Hathaway, I think she's Jewish, and Jack Black. I'm very proud of Jack Black. It has to do with cultural pride. When I was researching this article for the foreword, it turns out that we're not the only people who do it. Armenians look for Armenian names. Hispanics look for Hispanic names. It's pride, and it could lead to a certain fall in that you don't want to think like we're so much better than them. Look at how, our people are the first grip. But it's almost impossible not to do it, I think, at a certain age, because I hated it when my mom did it, and now I'm doing it. I have two boys. I'm like, do you see that? You love Adam Sandler. Well, guess what? He's ours. It's just a way of like a shorthand for saying we're good. Believe in us.
Right. And you're also turning into your mother.
Yeah, that's inevitable. Yeah.
Lenore, thank you for being with us today on Small Talk. I'm Iris Ruth Pastor, a contributor to Let My People Know, which is an outreach engagement initiative of the